Please don't be please. Please, no. No. Oh my God.
A doll hanging by a noose, smeared with red. A sickening mockery of her self-removal. Even in death, 13-year-old Aubrey Wyatt couldn't escape her bullies. But the horror didn't end there. The bully's family sued her grieving mother for speaking out. In Ocean Springs, Mississippi, this straight-A student's desperate act revealed a web of cruelty, power, and corruption, extending from school hallways all the way to the courthouse. How far would those in authority go to bury the truth about what really happened to Aubrey? And why would authorities protect the perpetrators? This is her infuriating story. It began with text messages. Cruel words on screens, day after day, month after month, year after year. On September 4, 2023, a mother's screams echoed through a Mississippi home. Not cries of surprise or momentary pain. These were the primal howls of a woman whose child was gone forever. Aubrey's sister Taylor remembers everything.
I was in my room for max 5 seconds before I just heard these blood-screeching screams coming from my mother.
Aubrey's mother, Heather, discovered what no mother should ever have to see. Her child, lost to despair, because a system designed to protect her had failed at every turn. And what she saw will stay with her forever.
Gone to check the AC. Well, in doing that, out of my peripheral, I see Aubrey, who is in her room, and she is Hanging in front of her window. I immediately saw her legs, and they were discolored. So I run to her and I grab under her bottom and lip and started screaming.
Taylor rushed in and faced the same shock. A shock that can't really be put into words. Her first reaction was to rush to her little brother Riker's room and beg him not to come out. Then she returned to Aubrey's room.
They're getting there and I'm just like, do something, do something, do something.
She called her Uncle Jeff. She called her friend Nick. She called everyone who needed to be called. Then she tried to help her mother as best she could, to cut the noose around her sister's lifeless body. The firefighters arrived first, followed by police and EMTs.
And I'm just a mess. Honestly, I'm like, that's the best way to put it. I'm just hysterical. I'm just begging them for an answer.
But no one had an answer. Everyone was in shock. And everyone kept asking themselves, why? How did we not see it?
I immediately take Aubrey's body that I'm holding and I lay it on her bed and immediately start CPR, and I'm screaming, begging God to let her live.
But the paramedics soon confirmed it. Aubrey was gone. I've never broke down like that in my whole entire life. Taylor still can't sleep at night. For 2 weeks, she was unable to do anything except help her mom prepare Aubrey Heist's funeral. Then for months, she couldn't open doors, for fear of seeing her sister hanging again. And there was just a lot. There was a lot of crying. I couldn't sleep by myself for the longest time. Aubrey's best friend, Bailey, found out on social media. And it was about how Aubrey grew her wings. First off, I didn't believe it. I thought she had got hacked or something. So I go look on her Facebook. Not only did Bailey suffer the shock of finding this out in such an impersonal way, but then rumors flooded. I was like, I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. And guys, the rumors were so bad. The rumors were absolutely horrible about how Aubrey passed away. This is what bullies do when they carelessly target someone. They shatter not just one life, but an entire community. They leave families in ruins. Children sleeping with nightmares. Parents who will never again know peace. This is the true cost of bullying. Not just one life lost, but countless lives forever altered. And the full horror of Aubrey's heartbreak was just beginning to unfold. She sent desperate texts to her mother. Please check me out. Today is so bad. What's going on? I can't leave right now. Everything. Please. Please. Molly is so bad and mean. Please. I'll do anything. 9 months later, again. Molly is being so mean. Tell the teacher. They don't care. She is evil. 6 months later, again. Sorry for the word, but Molly is being such a b**********. She literally talks expletive about me to everyone. Aubrey was reaching out, crying for help in the only way she knew how. Then came the physical assault. Molly slapped me across the face, Aubrey texted her mother in March 2023. On purpose or accident? Heather responded. On purpose. The bullies had names. Molly Noble, Parker Green, Ava Cassis, and Peyton Hembry. They all studied at Ocean Springs Middle School, like Aubrey. These girls made Aubrey's life a daily torment. And Molly Noble was the architect of Aubrey's nightmare. When confronted about the slap, Molly answered, "Why'd you cry? I barely hit you." She only wrote to Aubrey to complain that she had gotten in trouble for it. Aubrey replied, "You slapped hard. You might not have realized it, but you did." No empathy. No remorse. The pattern continued unbroken. "I'm so over it," Aubrey wrote in another message. "Ava Cassis and Peyton Hembry talk crap about me 24/7. I don't even talk to them. I hear them all the time, talking about me and pointing at me at lunch. They have no room to talk, and that's all they do. I'm truly over it." Behind these messages was a child being crushed under the weight of relentless emotional abuse. A straight-A student. A kind soul. A beloved daughter and sister. Why was she targeted with such venom? The answer may lie in what happened in 7th grade, at the end of the school year. According to Heather Wyatt, Aubrey was essayed by a boy she had considered her friend, during a baseball game organized for their class. When Aubrey was in 7th grade, at the end of 7th grade, she was essayed by a student on school grounds. And yes, I emailed. Yes, I filed a report. Yes, I did all the things. The school's response? An assistant principal called Aubrey in for questioning, despite Heather specifically asking that her daughter not be made to answer to a male administrator after such a traumatic event. And the audacity of an assistant principal to call my child in after I told him not to question my child who had just been essayed and had to answer to a man. He did it anyway. When the family tried to pursue justice, they hit a wall. And then at some point, my child was so intimidated, and he essentially told us that we were going to have to go in front of the whole school board. Aubrey was going to have to retell her story tons and tons and tons of times. A 12-year-old girl, already traumatized, was being asked to repeatedly relive her assault in front of strangers. And she was so intimidated and scared, she begged me to stop because she was so, being bullied at school now. Because people had things up that were like, Team Aubrey, Team this, who do you believe? It was absolutely disgusting. Instead of supporting a child who reported a horrible trauma, her schoolmates turned against her. They called her names. They tormented her. The boy's parents defended him rather than holding him accountable. Aubrey's photo with the caption, "Why would you put me through this much pain?" says it all. Maybe it sums up her whole story, and that's just heartbreaking. When 8th grade began, Heather had emailed the principal, insisting the boy be kept away from her daughter. Her first day of 8th grade, she walks in. Who's in her class? Him. The battle for justice is far from over. Heather Wyatt's lawsuit against the school and other liable parties remains ongoing. She fights not just for Aubrey, but for every child facing bullying without protection or recourse. The questions that haunt this case remain largely unanswered. How could school administrators ignore years of reported bullying? What role did Monty Noble's position as assistant superintendent play in shielding his daughter from consequences? And why on earth did the legal system try to silence a grieving mother rather than address the underlying issues that led to a child's self-removal? The petition calling for Monty Noble's removal, which mysteriously vanished after gathering thousands of signatures, points to a system more interested in protecting its own than in safeguarding vulnerable children. And if only Aubrey were a standalone case, but she is not. So many other teens need school's help. For Heather Wyatt, the fight is about more than justice for her daughter. It's about preventing other families from experiencing similar tragedies. Her foundation raises awareness about self-harm and mental health. Her advocacy highlights the devastating impact of bullying. Her voice, temporarily silenced but now restored, continues to reach those who need to hear Aubrey's story most. On March 17, 2010, a baby girl was born in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Her name was Aubrey Wyatt. She had her whole life ahead of her. On September 4, 2023, that life ended. She was just 13 years old. The system failed her at every turn, and it keeps doing so, as her bullies and their families are refusing to even accept a little responsibility for this tragedy. I sat in my bed and I cried and I cried. And I cried. And I don't think I got out of the bed. I didn't shower. I didn't eat. Just watching Aubrey's best friend break down over losing her is enough to make your heart break forever. All I wanted to do was sleep and lay in my bed. And all I wanted was Aubrey, and I couldn't have her. And it was freaking me out. So how can a teen, or four of them, be so cruel? How can they have so much hate for an innocent person? I just was so unbelievably heartbroken. Because she passed away. But Aubrey's story did not end with her death. Her mother found sealed envelopes among her things, and her video reading them helped others back away from the most tragic plan. Lives saved through tragedy. Purpose found in pain. A voice that refuses to be silenced, even when courts and powerful figures try to muzzle it. For Taylor, who cut down her sister's body while their mother held her. For Bailey, who never got that final sleepover with her best friend. Aubrey was going to come stay the night at my house that weekend. And we had just got a new dog, and so my mom told her, no, maybe next weekend. For Riker, who waited in a bedroom not knowing his sister was gone. For Heather, who fights every day to ensure her daughter's death was not in vain. For them, and for Aubrey, the battle continues. Was Aubrey's death preventable? Absolutely. Every text message to her mother was a cry for help. Every school report was a warning. So why do we protect bullies over victims? And how many more children must we lose before we take bullying seriously? Share your thoughts below. What would you do if this was your child or best friend? How should bullies and their enablers be held accountable? Don't forget to like and subscribe to see our next heartbreaking story. Catch you soon. Stay safe. MHM. She's so hysterical, she runs to the bathroom, distraught. Aubrey called her mom in the middle of a panic attack. She was being forced to sit in the same room as her assaulter. At home, Aubrey had people who loved and supported her. At school, she was completely alone. Who was Aubrey Wyatt before tragedy claimed her? She was born March 17, 2010, in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. A middle child between older sister Taylor and younger brother Riker. Raised by a single mother who gave them her all. Aubrey was kind, a straight-A student, strikingly beautiful, and relentlessly positive. She was playful and valued her friends and family like few teenagers do. She was active in her youth group. She had plans to spend weekends with her best friend Bailey. She took selfies and attended birthday parties. In other words, she was just like you and me. 5 days before she took her own life, someone recorded Aubrey smiling, a moment of joy preserved, making the tragedy that would follow all the more shocking when you think of the world of pain hiding behind that smile. That video is so much more heartbreaking. The bullying had begun in 5th grade, years before the essay that would escalate the torment. For over 2 years, Molly, Parker, Ava, and Peyton had made Aubrey's life a living hell. The messages they sent were vicious. The names they called her were vile. They followed her through the hallways, pointed at her during lunch, and made sure she knew she was their target. Heather was aware of the bullying. She reported it to the school administration repeatedly. No action was taken. No intervention occurred, just that same old school staff shrug, kids will be kids. As if relentlessly targeting someone is normal kids' behavior. Nothing about this was normal. And it seems Aubrey's school was protecting her bullies because of their connections. Molly Noble, the ringleader, was the daughter of Dr. Monty Noble, who was a teacher at Ocean Springs School for 7 years. Recently, he had been appointed assistant superintendent. And who would dare punish the superintendent's daughter? This question would haunt the community in the aftermath of tragedy. On September 4, 2023, a video appeared online. It showed a doll supposedly in Molly Noble's room. The doll was hanging by a noose. It was smeared with red. It was clearly meant to mock Aubrey. That same day, Aubrey Wyatt had gone into her bedroom and ended her life. The bullying didn't stop with Aubrey's death. In fact, it would get so much worse for Aubrey's loved ones. First, a sickening Snapchat video appeared online. This is how little they cared for Aubrey. Grief turned to outrage, and Heather Wyatt began speaking out. She created TikTok videos describing what had happened to her daughter. She revealed the years of bullying, the horrific essay, the school's failure to intervene, and the continued cruelty after Aubrey's death. Her voice became powerful. Her videos went viral. Her story touched people around the world who saw in Aubrey's tragedy a reflection of bullying epidemics in their own communities. One video in particular had an unexpected impact. As Heather was packing up Aubrey's room, the family couldn't bear to continue living in the house where she died. Her hand brushed against 3 sealed envelopes hidden among Aubrey's things. Her reaction was captured on camera. "Please, don't. Please, no. Music. No. Oh my God." Heather's voice broke as she discovered her daughter's final letters. The raw emotion of that moment resonated with viewers worldwide. Comments poured in from people who had once considered ending their own lives but changed their minds after witnessing Heather's grief. "This video is for real the reason I am deciding to stay," wrote one. "Refuse to put my family through that," another viewer said. "This is the reason I stay longer." Heather's pain was saving lives. Her tragedy was preventing others. But not everyone wanted that voice to be heard. The families of the alleged bullies had a different perspective on the unfolding story. As Heather's videos spread across the internet, revealing the names of the girls who had tormented Aubrey, the families claimed their children were being subjected to harassment. They reported receiving hateful and disturbing messages from around the world, including vulgar insults and inappropriate sexual comments directed at 8th grade students. They said Molly Noble's home address had been published online, putting the family at risk. Their response was not to acknowledge the bullying, apologize for their children's actions, or express remorse for Aubrey's death. Instead, they sued Heather. Heather, who had just seen her daughter hanging in her bedroom, who kept seeing online videos mocking her daughter's death. They filed a lawsuit accusing her of falsely blaming their daughters, despite the overwhelming evidence of bullying that had emerged online. They insisted their children were being wrongfully targeted. "Honestly, you guys, this is making my blood boil. And it gets even worse." A leaked screenshot of a court order appeared online with devastating implications. Heather Wyatt is hereby ordered to temporarily shut down all of the social media accounts belonging to her. The mother of a bullied child who had died by her own hand was being silenced by the legal system. The very voice that was raising awareness about bullying and mental health, the voice that was literally saving lives by sharing Aubrey's story, was being muzzled by court order. The injustice was stomach-turning. Public outrage exploded. Social media, especially TikTok, became a platform for voices that refused to be silenced. One message read, "Heather Wyatt was court-ordered to take her social media down." Her account was spreading awareness about her daughter, helping others, and saving lives. This mama was silenced, while the bully still has her social media and is walking on the outside. When she should be in jail, the justice system is failing this mama and Aubrey. "We will be their voice now." Another declared, "They may silence Heather Wyatt, but they've awakened thousands of mamas on TikTok who will say her name for you. Aubrey Wyatt, you deserved better, and we will keep saying your name until your mama gets justice." Heather was facing tough legal battles, and she needed funds for her defense. She set up a GoFundMe with a goal of $100,000. The campaign quickly exceeded its target, receiving over 4,000 donations. The overwhelming public support created mounting pressure on Judge Mark Maples to reconsider his decision to shut down Heather's social media accounts. On July 18th, he made his final ruling. The emergency order was lifted, allowing Heather to regain her voice. A crowd gathered in the courthouse parking lot to show their support as Heather stepped out. Knowing her social media accounts had been restored, they erupted in cheers. "You're not alone. I love you." This was a true battle for justice. "I am so thankful. My heart, there's no amount of words, there's no amount of anything that I can genuinely do to express my gratitude to all of you." When my voice was shut off, the fact that you guys were like, "No, we will be her voice." But me aside, you guys fought for my baby when I couldn't. And in the darkest moments of human suffering, we witness the truest light. Heather's choice to respond with gratitude and love, even while drowning in grief so overwhelming most couldn't bear it, reminds us that kindness remains our most powerful weapon against cruelty.